CT Moore for NVI. I'm here at Make Web Not War in Montreal, and I'm going to be sitting down to talk to Garrett Serack of Microsoft about his role in open source development within Microsoft. At Microsoft, exactly what's your role there?
So I'm a software developer. I work in the Open Source Technology Center, and my job at Microsoft is to make open source software run better on Windows. So rather than spend time working on making Microsoft products work better, I actually work on things like PHP and Apache and work with communities like Python and Perl and other ones to help make their software better on Windows.
Specifically specialize in a specific framework or language?
Not at all. I have no specific focus on particular languages. Whether it needs C, C++, C#, whatever, I mean, it's all over the map. I think I've worked in more languages in the last year than I can possibly even count.
What would you say is the biggest challenge in terms of getting open source technology to run better on Windows?
So the biggest challenge, really, is managing dependencies. Because all of these open source software languages and all these other open source platforms depend on the same sort of libraries that they all use, like OpenSSL or zlib or literally a few dozen more. They're so common to almost all of this software that there's not really a method for actually managing that right now, and that's kind of something that's led me to a project I just started.
What happens when you show up at an open source event and you say you work for Microsoft?
Well, a couple years ago, or 3 years ago, it was a little bit like, what are they doing here? You know, why is Microsoft here? And these days, it's not like that at all. When I go to an open source event, I know most of the people I see there. It's a lot different, I think. It's come a long way in the last 3 years.
And if I'm an open source developer and I'm trying to port my technology onto Windows, is there any advice you can give me?
Well, so the first thing I would suggest is actually finding people on the Windows platform who are interested in using your software, because testing is usually the biggest part of it. Secondly is find somebody like me who specializes in helping open source software get running on Windows. You know, if I don't have the bandwidth to handle that, at least I can help find you resources, or if you need a build environment or tools or something like that, I usually can make things happen in that regard.
Great. Well, thank you so much for your time, Garrett. I appreciate it.
Hey, no problem.